All right. Thank you for joining us for the Application Delivery Resiliency Forum. This is Tringo at the ISO. Today's call and webinar will be recorded and published on the release planning page for a limited time. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started to kick off this forum. All right, so here's the agenda today. We're going to go over the overview and then the status and the timeline of this effort, actions required, support, guidance, user interface updates, application programming interface updates, and then the global rate limiting and acceptable use policy that's related to this effort, and then some references. Okay, so as communicated in the RUG, this is a dedicated forum with the increased focus on the ADR or URL and cutover for the UIs and the APIs to continue to engage with and support our customers through this production transition activity to the new UIs and APIs and the infrastructure, including updates to the AUP on the new APIs. This will be weekly on Wednesday from 2 to 3 Pacific time, starting today and through the end of the cutover, which will cover the timeline next. So we want to increase the awareness of the ADR implementation and cutover status and timelines, provide guidance for users on their transitions to the new URLs, communicate any known issues as applicable, and then review user feedback, and then just overall provide more transparency and proactive support to our customers that are going to be impacted by this change as we move forward. All right. Okay, so here's an overall status and timeline of where we are with the cutover for the UIs and the APIs. So all of the new user interface URLs, except for TR, are available now, and the old URLs are set to be decommissioned on February 6th. 2024. We will, of course, send out additional communication leading up to the February 6th date. So in addition to these forums, you can stay tuned to customer notices for information as well. For the APIs, all new URLs are available now, and the old ones are planned to be cut over February 19th, 2024, and that is a tentative date, and we'll go through kind of the status of the API specifically in our observations when we get to that section. Right. So here's a summary of where we are for each system and each interface, and I won't go through it in detail because I summarized it there before, but it does show you different statuses across the user interfaces and APIs for each of these applications. And so you can use this to reference where we are and what's available for you to use, in addition to, of course, our normal sources on the developer site that will provide you the URLs, as well as the portals that will take you to the correct user interfaces. So that leads us into what should you be doing with this information. So customers should be using the new UIs and the APIs as soon as possible. So as soon as we made those available, our recommendation for those new URLs is that customers cut over to those and start using them as soon as possible so that we can identify any issues sooner rather than later, and then also work with our customers that are having access issues, be able to resolve those to be able to cut over sooner, and then also to, of course, minimize any impact to our customers for this transition that we need to do. So that includes the actions of making sure that your prerequisites are configured for accessing the new UIs and the APIs, including a couple that I listed there, whitelisting our IP addresses, as well as installing some Entrust certificates for those accessing via the API. And again, I want to underscore that one of the critical actions is that we are asking customers as soon as possible to shift off of the old URLs for the UIs and the APIs and report any issues as soon as possible. Okay. So this guidance on how to communicate issues to the ISO hopefully will help us streamline the support and troubleshooting of these issues. So we're getting a lot of questions, which is great, and they should be submitted via city. And if you can be proactive in providing this information, it will help us be more efficient in the troubleshooting. You can see here, if you're having issues with access to the UI or the API, please identify that, the URL you're using, certificate, source IP. And then also what would help is being able to let us know if you're having a complete lack of success to the URL or just intermittent errors and failures. So that does help us be able to figure out what path to take with the troubleshooting. And also, are you observing the issue on the new URL only, the old URL, or both the new and the old? That'll also help us significantly in this effort because we do have a lot of different access points available at this time. For those accessing the UIs, let us know which browsers you have used and tried and the behavior on each of those. For the APIs, we're asking for the request, the response, letting us, confirming that the Entrust certificates have been added to your application servers, also letting us know if you're using third-party software to access the APIs and who your vendor is if applicable. Okay. All right. So does anybody have any questions up to this point? You may be on mute via the WebEx, so you may need to unmute your line, or you can also send a message in the chat. All right, so I'll go ahead and move forward to the UI. So this is the table from below, but it focuses on the UI, and just a couple of reminders that the UIs that are, the new UIs that are in green, those are all available now that we want customers to start using. If you're not already using those permanently, then please start using those. The only exception is TR, which is undergoing an application upgrade. So once the new application for TR goes into production, it will be on the new URL. And then so the old UI URLs I haven't even provided here because we do want to shift customers away from there. And so, so just a reminder to be using the new ones. Our cutover target, where the old UI URLs will no longer be available, is February 6th. We don't have any known issues to report on the UI transition at this point. And we will continue to review city cases and then work with customers on issues. If there is something that we identify in a reported city case that could impact other customers, then we will provide visibility of that in this forum and then the other forums and communication about this cutover going forward. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? All right, so the APIs are a little bit more complicated because we do realize that that does require changes on your software to be able to transition. So again, our guidance is to be using the new API and cut over to those as soon as possible if you're not already. And in the case that you are experiencing issues, you know that the old APIs are still available right now, and we want to be able to work with you to not interrupt your operations while we work with you to successfully transition. So the legend there applies. Cutover is targeted for February 19th, 2024. That is tentative because we are committed to, of course, being able to ensure customer success and avoid impact during the cutover. So we're keeping a close eye on the city cases and prioritizing those to resolve with our customers prior to the cutover. So that may impact our cutover target date, but for now, February 19th is what it is set to now, and we will communicate further and customer notice as well as this forum. So there is one item that I wanted to bring to folks' attention that we've gotten questions about, or maybe just for transparency and awareness. One observation that we are reviewing and investigating is some customer reports of larger payloads that are failing when smaller ones are succeeding. So the ISO was able to test and also work with customers to test that large payloads do make it to the ISO successfully, but there are some other, we're exploring other possibilities for the cause of the issue, including chunk versus streaming data, and specifically shifting away from chunk data for those that are sending it that way to see if that resolves the issue. It's not conclusive at this time, but we wanted to let customers know where we are, and then also just raise that for those that may have experienced that to share more information with us so that we can engage you in our troubleshooting effort for this specific the specific effort for the payload size and chunk versus streaming. Okay. Are there any questions or comments on the API transition? All right, let me go forward. I wanted to, actually, before I move on, I'm sorry. One other thing I wanted to note here is that we had received questions about ADS and OASIS. So ADS and OASIS for the UI and the API have already shifted to this new infrastructure years ago. And so those will not be impacted whatsoever by this effort. I listed those applications here just so that we have visibility that those don't need any changes. And so just a FYI on that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the global rate limiting and acceptable use policy. So if we back up a moment, we said that there are some other changes and prerequisites that are going along with this URL cutover. So one of these is that for the new API, we do have, or we are introducing some additional protections for acceptable use policy for CMRI, DRS, and MRIS. So we wanted to talk through that, but then even at a higher level, we have no changes to the global rate limit, but we wanted to just reemphasize what our global rate limit policy is. So I'll start from the top here, and actually there's 4 documents linked here that we've updated recently to provide clarity on the global rate limiting and then also the acceptable use policy for the specific applications that are going to be impacted. So for global rate limit, that is not changed as part of this, but this is just a reminder that we have a 30 per second across all of the web services combined per TCP source that we are enforcing. So you see the APIs there. So again, this is by namespace. So anything that's on ws.prod.kiso, which is listed there, and will be subject to that. And then separately, OASIS has the global rate limiting that applies to it separately as well. Okay, so that's not changing. This is just more of a reminder. But when we transition to the new URL, so when you're using the new URLs in production right now, there are new application-specific additional protections for CMRI, DRS, and MRIS. Those are all documented in the linked tech spec, so please pull the latest tech spec for that. So for CMRI, for all of the services, which is all retrieved because CMRI does not have submits, there will be a 5-second period for enforcement for all of those. For DRS, all submits and retrieves or all services for DRS will be subject to a 30-second period for enforcement. And then for MRIS, only for the meter data retrieved, so those will have a 30-second period for enforcement. Okay. So I know that we've gotten questions just to confirm some of this that we're addressing in city, but that's why we wanted to put this in front of customers and see if there's any other questions on this. Okay, Prashanthi, please go ahead.
Oh.
Hi, Tran. So thank you for this clear slide. So in PG&E, this is Prashanthi from PG&E. So in PG&E, we have 7 different applications that access, that interfaces with KISO for various data. It could be CMRI, it could be DRMI, OMS, cyber, master file, everything. So since it's by namespace, which is at prod.kiso.com, do we have to ensure all our 7 different applications from different departments? We need to make sure our calls don't clash with each other. Is it so?
Yeah, so you're referring to the global rate limit. The level which impacts, again, those that are listed there, BAP, BSAP, et cetera, and yeah, so that's the limitation is, again, per TCP source, no more than 30 calls per second to combined on those that are listed there. So across the 7 that you have per TCP source, so from the same source, you wouldn't want to exceed the 30-second. And if it does, I think you asked another question that I think we should elaborate on here too. So if you exceed the 30 seconds for that, then it'll just any one after 30 seconds within that that 1 second period will just be rejected, and it won't be queued up to return any data after that 1 second period. You'll just have to submit new calls after that.
Right. We right now programmed it to call after 5 seconds if there is a rejection. So we just have to continue using that algorithm, correct?
Yeah, and again, for production, we haven't changed this at all. So what you're experiencing for the global rate limit on the existing production APIs is what you will on the new APIs as well. So we haven't changed that at all.
Okay. So is this policy implemented in map stage right now, or it's the same that's there in production? Is that what you just mentioned?
Yes, this is in map stage now. That global rate limit is in map stage.
Okay, and the new policy is the same as the old one that we used to have, correct?
So the global rate limit, which is just that top section, so that is production in map stage on the old URLs and on the new URLs. So there's really no change to that. And then the bottom section, so the bottom section in map stage for CMRI, DRS, and MRIS, that's in map stage and in production on the new URLs now. And then after the cutover, it will also impact the existing URL. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Lisa, please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, Lisa from Parix. I just wondered, the global rate limit, so that does not apply to ADS?
So it's by namespace. So OASIS is, that global rate limit will run against OASIS. The OASIS namespace is oasis.prod.kiso, and then we'll have this run against ws.prod.kiso. And then for ADS, maybe Suresh can confirm for me. Suresh, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Was that okay? So the answer is yes. Yes.
Yes, it does apply.
I can. Yes.
Okay.
But not in addition. Yeah, not in addition to OASIS and WS, but ADS will, has that enforced across its namespace for ADS.prod.
And what's the error message that you would expect us to get if we hit that? It's not that big dash IP error message, or
No,
429 the way you do with CMRI?
No, it's just a straight TCP reset.
TCP reset, okay. Okay, and CMRI, so the acceptable use policy would still return 429 if we were hitting that?
That is correct.
Okay, okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Are there any other questions on this? Okay. Thank you, Mike, for confirming. I can add that about OASIS and ADS too, just for informational purposes. And again, for other errors, and you can review the documents here for specific errors as well. All right, go on to some references. So we have the developer.kiso.com site for application information that's geared towards developers, but of course anybody can access that. You just do need to have an account, so it's a one-time registration, and then you'll have you can access tech specs there, as well as XSBs, whistles, and other information. So that's a good reference for that type of information for our application. And then I don't have today's presentation posted yet, but I have a link here. So it will be on the release planning page. And in the future invites that I'll have on the kiso.com calendar, I will have a link to where these presentations will be posted, but I do plan on posting this today as well as the recording, and those should be, the recording may take until tomorrow to be ready, but the presentation will be posted today on release planning. So you go to www.kaiso.com and then stay informed and release planning, then you can access it later today. I'm just putting that in the chat. Okay. And it'll be under 2024 independent releases and application delivery resiliency. So another good reference is the technical user group presentations that are on the dev site. That'll go through all of our previous presentations for where we do cover this effort. And then we have our release user group presentations where we cover this as well. And then you can, of course, go to www.kaiso.com to see the meetings there. And then what I have at the end of the presentation is really just a summary of the slides that we've presented in the other forums. Okay. So that is what I had to cover today. I'll open it up one final time for any questions, comments, or feedback, and then, of course, anything that you want to include for the next session. Lisa, please go ahead.
Yeah, we had logged a city ticket back in December because with the cutover to these new URLs, we were getting redirected, or are currently getting redirected to these big IP logout pages, which we believe is related to Trellix implementation. But we haven't had any response on the city ticket, and I was just wondering if, I was kind of thinking it would be discussed here, these big IP logout errors. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry about that, Lisa. And then just remind me your organization again.
Sorry, PowerX.
Oh, PowerX, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it didn't come up on this right now. And do you happen, okay, you have the city case right now. I might have looked at that one today. Let me just pull it up for just a moment.
Yeah, I think our developer raised it in the last TUG meeting as well, because we think it's related to this. It definitely, it only happens when we connect to the new URLs. It's intermittent, but there were massive spikes in the frequency with which it happens around the time that everybody seemed to be cutting over to the new URLs. And it is impacting ADS as well, which that's why I was asking if that was on a separate, not a separate thing as far as the global rate limit. So it is impacting, yeah, it's impacting ADS and BSAP, and we a few key applications we rolled back to the old URLs because it was impacting production, but we're waiting on some more information on this before we attempt to use the new URLs again.
Okay, I'm looking right now just to see if there are any other comments here. Okay. So I do see just some internal comments, but I really apologize, Lisa, that we didn't have this covered for the call. I'm still making my way through these cities to make sure raise anything that could impact other customers. And I see you already provided the Excel as well and some of that information. So I think if you just give me some time, I'll respond to you today with some of that guidance as far as other information that you could provide us to help troubleshoot it. I think you've already said some of that, which is that it's you have the issue on the old and the new URL, but it's more frequent on the new. Is that, or is it just on the new? I'm sorry.
No, it's only on the new URLs, but the frequency increased when we switched other applications. So as we switched applications to the new URLs, the frequency of it increased.
Okay, and that's
so
on
it's
ADS.
only on the new, yeah, it's only on the new URLs. Sorry?
Oh, no, I said, and it's impacting ADS for you too, so you're seeing it more on even on.
Yeah, it continues to impact us every day, but on ADS, which we obviously can't roll back to an old URL, and some applications which are less critical, we chose not to roll back just so we could keep an eye on this. So we are still seeing it fairly frequently. But it is intermittent. So you can try exactly the same call again 2 minutes later and it'll work. But
Okay.
the error is it's redirected to a big-IP logout page. And if you Google big IP, that is related to an implementation of Trellix, apparently.
No,
Okay.
Big IP is the platform. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, and so I think, Lisa, maybe one thing to kind of go through this is maybe can you send me some technical folks on your team, and then we'll look into it a little bit more, and then maybe we'll prepare to have just a one-off call with you and your team to go over this.
Sure, that would be great.
I think, yeah. So let's do that to get you the support that you need, and then we can just hopefully get this resolved quickly. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then I see Tricia.
Yeah, I just wanted to pipe in and say that at TID, we're seeing some of those intermittent issues. Also, we do have a city ticket out. There has been a little bit of movement in trying to troubleshoot that, but that, last night we, had some issues with we've had issues with data intermittently getting to BSAP. So I just wanted to say that, PowerX isn't alone, and this is something that we're seeing as well.
Yeah, okay, understood. Okay, so Tricia, the same thing. If you have the city, you can send it to me in the chat or to my email right now, and then I'll also take a look at that, just knowing that we're going to help Lisa look into it too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tricia. That's good to know. Okay, and then Krishanti. And then I see Hardigan is having that issue with multiple clients too. So thank you, Deborah. I've noted that too, so that we can track that on our side. Okay, and Krishanti, please go ahead.
Hi, Tran. I just posted the policy that you have for Oasis. It's not just namespace, it's that remote IP query name or the group ID. So this policy remains, correct?
Yes. Yep, that's right. For Oasis, we haven't changed anything, so that remains. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then I have Isaac. Please go ahead.
Hey, Trang, just kind of piggyback on everybody's comment. We also have an ongoing city ticket regarding, I guess, BSAP. We're having problems with submitting intermittent issues with submitting stuff there. I've just kind of posted the city ticket that we've submitted, and on that city ticket, the latest response we got is this is related to a F5 ADR effort that we were hoping to get some more insight to what that is. We were told to go on the RUC call yesterday, but as you know, that RUC call ran pretty long, so we didn't get to this item. But I was wondering if you can, or anybody from CAISO can tell us what that problem is.
Okay, so I see the city case, and thank you, and sorry that we weren't able to get to that sooner or have more recent responses for you. So the F5 ADR effort is really just what we're going through, what we're covering now. So ADR is the application delivery resiliency, and then F5 just is the software. So we more use F5 as an internal reference to that, so that's why you don't see that a lot. But if somebody's referring to F5, it's the same thing. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. And then, and so I'm sorry, Isaac, to characterize the issues that you're having, do they sound similar to what was reported by our other customers now, where it is intermittent and only on the new URL?
Correct, and only for us, only for the BSAP application.
Okay, and it's the big IP page, right?
That I am not sure. I will have to check with my vendor. But we're failing quite frequently by switching to the new URL, so we have reverted back to the old one for now.
Okay. So just looking at the city case right now, it's not immediately clear to me what the errors are, but again, I'm going to take this offline with the team, and then I see Rhett's involved in this too, and then obviously you, Isaac, but maybe you can send me a list of folks in case we do schedule a discussion about this, and then we can kind of go from there in addition to responding to the city. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, just send me who would need to be in a call if we get to that point where we should set that up, okay?
Sure, we'll do.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, and let's see. Joel, do you have time to cover that? Yes, please. I'll pull that one up, but if you can just let us know what issue you're still experiencing, that would be helpful.
Thanks. Yeah, so this one I submitted quite a while back. It has to do with the length of the request that's being made in the API call. And so basically I put the details in the city ticket. It basically fails because it says the length is too long. And we have a workaround right now, but it's really no different than the call that was being made on the prior API. So this is on the new API.
Okay, so this is specific to OMS, is that right? Are you seeing this?
Sorry, give me a second. Let me open that ticket really quick.
Yeah.
This is yeah, WebOMS API URL. I think it's exactly, yeah, and I have all the details in the ticket.
Okay,
with the
and then
samples.
Okay, got it. All right. So for this one, it looks like, just for the team's benefit too, it looks like it does work again, as you mentioned, on the old ws.kaiser.com for OMS for retrieve availability, but not on the ws.prod. So
Exactly.
I don't think we need an immediate update, but I just, from what I've seen, Joel, we haven't seen this particular issue with others, but we'll add it to our tracking list. So I think that for the next call, my commitment will be all of the cities that were raised here today. I'll put them into the slides, even if they're not known issues, and they may, but I'll put it into the slide and then work to provide updates in next week's call.
Great.
So even if we don't have
okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah,
okay.
It looks like we submitted it initially on the 3rd of January. So,
okay. All right. Sounds
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yes, so that's what I'll add to the presentation. Even if they're not a known issue or we're still investigating, anything that was brought up here today, I'll start tracking those here. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments or feedback? Okay.
That's great.
So,
Thanks for setting up the forum.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll post the presentation today, have more information for the next call, and then you should start seeing those on the calendar soon, but they will be at the same time and the same WebEx. So if you wanted to save that off, that's fine too. And if you do have any other feedback to me, you can always send a city and or reach me at tvo@kaiser.com. Okay, thank you everyone for your time, and the ISS team for your support too. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, thank you.
You too.